Aloha, my name is Joanna Philippoff, and I am an assistant specialist in the College of Education in the Curriculum Research and Development Group at the University of Hawai'i at Manoa. The University of Hawaii Sea-Grant College Program, otherwise known as Hawai'i Sea-Grant, is based at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. This is Hawai'i Sea-Grant Podcast number 12, our project in Hawaii's Intertidal.
Aloha, and welcome to our 321 podcast. My name is Mahealani.
This is Rachel.
This is Joanna.
And I'm Flo.
And we are part of Hawai'i Sea-Grant and the University of Hawaii, located in Honolulu, Hawaii.
This podcast features research supported by Hawai'i Sea-Grant. Each episode will highlight a new project and the people that make the project possible.
We will ask these researchers for 3 words that describe their research, give them 2 minutes to explain how their research benefits communities here in Hawaii, and end by asking them to provide one thing they know about each other than their research. So, 3 words, 2 minutes, and 1 thing. It's a 321 podcast. Hey, Rachel, I have a trivia question for you. Are you ready?
Oh yeah, trivia. Love trivia.
Okay, so what is the most dangerous seafood animal in Hawaii?
I think I've heard pufferfish.
Actually, it's OPIHI.
OPIHI?
Yeah, the Hawaiian limpet. It's not from eating it, actually. It's from collecting it.
That's right, Mahealani. OPIHI live on rocky cliffs.
You can also call this area the Intertidal Zone.
So, what are 3 words that describe your research?
Field, education, and community.
You said field, education, and community. Why did you choose those 3 words?
Well, field, because our research is field-based, so it occurs in the actual environment, the intertidal. And education is because we have both scientific and educational goals for this research. And community because we build a community of interns every year.
We're learning about our project in Hawaii Intertidal, otherwise known as OPIHI. Here to share their research are Joanna Philippoff and her graduate student, Valle.
Before we ask you how your research benefits communities here in Hawaii, let's talk about a few scientific words. 3 words that you use a lot in your research are intertidal, algae, and OPIHI. Can you explain what these words mean?
Sure, the intertidal is the area along the coast between high and low tide. This project only looks at the rocky intertidal. The algae they're often called seaweed, but here in Hawaii we call them limu. So especially native algae species are limu. And then OPIHI is our project in Hawaii's intertidal, but it also refers to the Hawaiian limpet, which is the OPIHI. There's 3 species that are very commonly eaten along the intertidal area along Hawaii's coast, and they're culturally important, which is what we based the name of this project off of.
So, tell us in 2 minutes or less how your research benefits the communities here in Hawaii.
Sure. To answer that question, I'm actually going to take us back in time. So over 10 years ago, OPIHI started because a researcher at UH Manoa, Chela Zabin, recognized that the intertidal was an understudied environment in Hawaii. Not a lot of information is known about this really culturally important site, this sort of ocean garden, if you will, that it's really hard to study scientifically because it requires a large number of people to go out in a very short period of time to look at an environment that is only exposed periodically. So the OPIHI program began as a teacher-researcher partnership where the researcher, myself included, would partner with these teachers and go out with their students and study the intertidal and collect data on the intertidal. And that data actually became the first paper to look at the community structure of the intertidal statewide over time. So that was over 10 years ago. Now, we've gotten some funding from Sea Grant to expand this project into 2 sister projects. So now the Sea Grant funding funds an intertidal undergraduate internship that utilizes the intertidal as sort of this model ecosystem to look at change over time. And we also have continued now funding to look at the teachers and students, and that's with NOAA funding. And so that is using the teachers and the students, but in more of a teacher professional development.
Let's recap. When asked to provide 3 words that describe your research, you said field, education, and community. You provided definitions for 3 scientific words that are commonly used in your research. These words were intertidal, algae, and OPIHI. We've learned about your research and how your research helps communities here in Hawaii. Let's get technical. How do you do your research? So what do you have all these teachers, all these students, and all these professors do?
So we use common ecological tools to systematically look at the intertidal environment at a number of different sites. So these ecological tools are transects, which are basically flexible rulers, quadrats, which are just PVC in the shape of a square. They're about 1/3 of a meter. And identification cards, so you know what you're looking at and you can identify it correctly. So teachers and students are using these, as well as interns, and they use them in slightly different ways, but they're looking at percent cover and the dominant species at a site and how those species are changing over time.
So do you just sort of look like every centimeter? Oh, look, there's one of those. Oh, look, there's one of those. Oh, look, there's one of those. And you just count what the different species are?
The sites are so variable that it actually varies by site, but the quadrats are laid between every 1/2 meter to every 2 meters. So on really long intertidal benches, like at Sand Island, the quadrats would be laid about every 2 meters just because the bench is so long. But at Diamond Head, below Diamond Head Lighthouse, the quadrats are a little more closely spaced together because it does take a long time. Because in a quadrat, you're looking at up to 25 points for a quadrat, and it takes a long time to identify that.
All right, well, that's a wrap. But before we go, we want to ask you, Joanna, what is one thing you know about Flo other than her research?
Flo really loves Beyonce.
Oh, man. Really?
Yes,
Oh,
really.
Man.
And
What is your favorite song?
ooh, I don't know. That's the toughest question that you've asked me today. I really enjoy Drunken Love.
Oh, my goodness.
It's just so good. No,
I think there
so
was a
many.
themed birthday party.
Yes.
Well, to reciprocate, Flo, what's one thing you know about Joanna other than her research?
Well, Joe has this really cute dog named Clancy.
Oh, Clancy.
Yeah, and I watch him sometimes when she leaves, and he's so sad when she leaves, but then gets so happy when she comes back. It's amazing.
As any good dog should.
Yeah, but this
Mama's
one
boy.
is incredible. Like, he jumps to her face. Like, he loves her so much.
Oh, yeah. So anyone who just tuned into the podcast right now, we're not talking about a child. Just let you know.
Or
Just
a
let you
40-pound OPIHI.
Yes, exactly. All right, so stay tuned for our next podcast, and mahalo for listening. Aloha.
Aloha.
This Hawai'i Sea Grant 321 podcast featured 3 songs: Happiness by bensound.com, Ukulele by bensound.com, and Cute by bensound.com. Find it on iTunes or bensound.com.